Greetings, Helldivers. Now, welcome to yet another video. Today, I'd like to thank you all for 100 subscribers. At the time of recording, it's 103, so thank you all very much for that. And I guess for the newcomers, I'd like to also introduce myself. I'm obviously a casual Helldiver, or also known as Nimblebear, and on this channel, I just simply do gameplay videos, both commentated and not. And I hope you enjoy your stay. Now, what are we doing today? So today I'd like to just make something special and talk about just the stratagems and the different stratagem inputs that you will encounter throughout the game. I feel like, well, it's just a very fun topic, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. I like to also talk about the different stratagem inputs and how I see them, like the logic behind them and how I try to remember them. And I will be mainly talking about the stratagems that I use from time to time, and the ones that I don't use just at all. I guess I'm just gonna ignore them. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, the first set of stratagems is going to be an eagle. So as you can see, you can already tell that the eagle always starts with the up-right combination, and that combination always reminds me of an attack from above. So this is a strafing run. Obviously, it just the same eagle-like combination at the beginning, but at the end there's just a right arrow, and that just symbolizes to me just an eagle flying forwards and shooting at the same time. So obviously that's what the strafing run is. The next one is the eagle airstrike. Same thing, as you can tell by the arrow at the end, but the down arrow is for explosions. So it runs ahead, but at the same time throws a bunch of explosives down. Next up is the eagle cluster bomb, and if you take a closer look, it's exactly the same like with the eagle airstrike, but instead it has one extra down arrow, which makes it, basically cover a little bit more area with the explosives. That's kind of how I view it. And then the eagle napalm is an interesting one. It has an up arrow instead at the very end, which basically does the same thing like the eagle airstrike, but again, yeah, obviously it ignites everything on fire. And the reason is that up arrow usually, and I say usually, right, connects to fire damage in the game. Now, next up is the eagle 500 kilogram bomb. As you can tell, it has a bit of similarity to both the cluster bomb and the airstrike, but the main difference is, do I really need to say anything? Next up is the eagle smoke strike. For whatever reason, it goes back up and then down, more towards the end. I really have no comment about it, so it just exists in my book. I'm sorry. And the final one is the eagle 110mm rocket pods. They're funny because the up arrow more towards the later half suggests a fire damage, but apparently not. And I guess I just remembered by the finger motion because it's just up right, up left, right? So it's a very smooth motion. Now I think it's a very good time to mention that Stratagem Hero is actually a very good little addition to your Super Destroyer, mainly because, not only is it a fun little mini game on your ship, but it's also a good practice station for different types of stratagems that you might be using throughout the game. There aren't really any stratagems that I wouldn't use, so it's always good to, practice all the combinations, especially the Hell Bomb. Speaking of Hell Bomb, it's, if you couldn't tell, it's simply just down up, left, down up, right, down up. It's that simple. But next up are orbitals, everybody's favorite type of stratagem. At least I hope so. Now, all the orbitals usually, I want to point out, begin with right combination, unlike eagle where it's upright. Sometimes orbitals do weird things and begin with a right down. I really don't know how to comment on that. Now, the first orbital on our list is the orbital precision strike. Obviously, it's the first offensive stratagem that you get in the game, so I don't really know what to comment on it. The up arrow, I guess, symbolizes the precision part of the strike. Next one is the orbital airburst. It's pretty easy to understand. Three rights, 3 strikes. Or at least that's what I would say if they didn't add one more strike at some point in development. I don't know why, but it's a change that I do accept. Next up is the orbital Gatling barrage. Again, it's one of those weird stratagems that begin with right down, but I look at it the other way around. It's more of a just the 2 arrows pointing up is the Gatling brush up above, Gatling gun up above, shooting the ground randomly, thus giving the right down left combination at the beginning. Now next up is the orbital gas strike. I want to point out that all gas stratagems usually have something to do with right. So that's why it's pretty easy to remember that the orbital gas strike is orbital, right, then down for precision, and then right again for gas. Pretty fun stuff. Next up on the stratagem list are actual orbital barrages. Now you can probably already see some similarities between all of them. Well, they all either start with the right combination or right down. Now, I don't think I really need to explain how an orbital bulking barrage works, right? I think we all are on the same page. Next up is the orbital 380mm barrage. I really have no idea how to explain this one, but I guess to me it just looks like random combination of things that imply something like heavy, like a heavy ordnance or whatever. Actually, I think I should just walk a little bit back here. There you go. So yeah, it's just a heavy ordnance. I don't really know how else to explain it. Like the two repeating arrows, they kind of tell me that it is like some sort of a heavy ordnance. Otherwise, it's just scattered around randomly. Next up is the 120mm HE barrage, as well as the orbital napalm barrage. Now, they're too fun because, as you can tell, they have exactly the same combination, except the only difference is the two arrows at the end. The napalm barrage has up at the end, while the orbital 120mm HE has down. Now, the reason it's very easy, in my opinion at least, to input each one of them so quickly is because it's again one smooth motion. 120 HE is just basically tapping on the lower section of your arrow keys in a sort of a smooth motion, as I said, while the napalm barrage is the same thing, but you just add the up arrow at the end. And I think we can all appreciate the easy combination of napalm barrage because I believe it's everybody's favorite. Next up are the weird selection of orbital stratagems. The first one is the orbital rail cannon strike, which is the only orbital in the game that starts with a right up. I don't know why. Don't ask me. Next up is the orbital laser, and its combination suggests that it has just a mind of its own, like it does in the video game. Now next up are the orbital EMS strike and the orbital smoke strike. For the life of me, I couldn't tell you why they're so weird, because I'm never using them. Next up are the support weapons, and I've decided to start with the machine guns, because in my mind most of the heavy weaponry starts with a down, left, down. I don't know why, it's just how the game decided it to be, and that's kind of how I log it in my mind. So the normal machine gun is just simply down, left, down, and then up, right. Now funny that the machine gun is this way, because you should remember this in your head and compare it to the autocannon, which is just down, left, down, up, right. Don't ask me, it's just weird. Now next up is the stalwart, basically the same thing like I talked about with the autocannon before, but it's just one left at the end, and it's very fun to use, that's all I can say. And finally, for the similar type of combination in this heavy weaponry that we have here, is a laser cannon. It's just the same thing, down, left, down, but instead it goes up, left. Now the heavy machine gun is just a mess of everything. I don't know why the devs decided to combine it this way. Yeah, it really pisses me off. Next up is another similar weapon selection, but actually they're not that similar if you think about it. So first up is the grenade launcher. As you can tell there by me inputting, the grenade launcher is very close to an epoch, but instead the grenade launcher has an extra down arrow, while the epoch has a right. But we'll start with the quasar cannon actually. The quasar's combination is simply down, down, up, left, right. Now you will see a couple more similarities between that one and a couple of more stratagems in the current list. Now next one is the grenade launcher. It's basically just a smooth motion with your fingers going like kind of up the ladder, so like from down, up, and then down again. And now the epoch, surprisingly, is just a mishmash of both the grenade launcher combination and the quasar cannon combination. I wonder why. Next up is the commando. one of the expendable stratagems in the game. Now it's kind of like, it's weird. So the beginning combination is from the grenade launcher, but then it just kind of does its thing at the end. I have no idea what to say about this. Next up, I also wanted to show you guys the similarities between the stalwart and the autocannon. They both begin exactly the same, but they end up with either the left arrow or the right arrow. Right arrow is for the autocannon, left is for the stalwart. Don't ask me, I have no idea why. Next up are the anti-material rifle and the railgun. I can't really explain why they are like similar to one another, except for the fact that they're supposed to be like long-ranged weapons, but they both share a pretty smooth motion of inputting like their codes. So that's the only thing that makes them similar in my book, is the fact that they both share a somewhat smooth like input combination. But what I don't understand is that the AMR and the railgun are both sniper rifles, you could say, and they both don't share anything similar in the inputs, while the autocannon and stalwart have almost exactly the same combination. I don't understand. Why are the devs messing up with their heads like this? Next up are the anti-tank weaponry. Well, I guess except for the airbus rocket launcher, but still. First ones are the ones you can see at the lower section, which is the spear and the quasar cannon. So they both are quite similar. Spear begins with down and up, as well as the quasar, except they end the different way. Funny thing though, the airburst is actually the reversed part of the spear and quasar cannon at the beginning, and has the same left-right at the end, like the quasar cannon. I don't know, man. I just don't. Now the recoilless rifle is an interesting one. It has down, left, right, left. It does like kind of feel like it's an anti-tank combination, which it is, which is great, but I just have one little problem with it. You will see it later in the video. Next up are the backpack stratagems, and the jump pack category of stratagems we have so far are only 3, which is, well, the jump pack itself, the hover pack, and the warp pack. Let's start with the jump pack. So the combination at the beginning with the jump pack as well as the hover pack is the same, which is down, up, down. Yeah, and I see the combination for both kind of like this. The jump pack has the up arrow at the end, signifying that is, well, a jump pack that launches you forward, while the hover pack is the kind of backpack that launches you up and you can move around at the same time, thus the left-right arrows. Next up is the warp pack, which is surprisingly enough does not have any up arrows, and I think that makes sense. Finally, something that makes sense in this game. Simply said, it's a warp pack that takes you from one place, so let's say from left to right, and then it does that again. And again, and again, and again, and again, you know? Now, if you remember the Eagle 500 kg bomb stratagem, then, I mean, do I really need to say more? Next up are the weird selection of backpacks, which all begin with, again, down, but then they just kind of have a mind of their own. The first one is the supply pack, and it's just a mishmash of stratagems. I don't really know what else to tell you. Now the directional shield, also same thing. I don't really know what to tell you about it. I just don't really use it. Apart from maybe the last 2 inputs, which are the up arrows, that tells me that it's a directional shield. So, you know, it's like something that you point forwards, let's say, and it will block all the attacks from that side, while the shield generator backpack is the kind of thing that will block attacks from any direction, therefore the left-right arrows at the end. Now the ballistic shield is funny because it has the beginning combination like the supply pack, but it's just not a supply pack. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, this game is very confusing sometimes, but I didn't know it was like this just big of a mess. Next up are the guard dog stratagems, and as you can tell, they all begin with exactly the same stratagem combination except for the last digit, which is, well, I think they're all already occupied, so I guess we're never getting another guard dog again. First one is the guard dog with the medium arm penetrating rounds, which is fun because it's just, well, a little circle that you do with your fingers, and I don't know why they're interrupting my recording. For example, I don't also understand why the guard dog rover gets the right arrow, even though gas usually takes up the right priority, but oh well. But what I can say about the guard dog K9 is that yes, it does usually have something to do with the left arrow, which signifies lightning. Usually. Again, strong emphasis on usually. Next up are the sentries. Finally, we're at that point. Now they all of them, like literally all of them, begin with a down up. That's how you know it's a sentry. Let's start with the machine gun sentry. So this one is interesting. It begins with up, down up, right, then right again, and then up. I guess it's just kind of sort of sentry that pops up and shoots a single target at a time. That's really it. The fire sentry has, well, kind of a mind of its own, and while the laser sentry actually has a little walk going on at the end. So it's like down upright and then down upright again. So it's like, it looks like a walk to me. I don't know. Also, I want to point out why do all the other sentries look around but the laser one doesn't? I think my laser cannon is broken. Now the Gatling sentry is, well, it just does its thing. It just shoots. Next up are the sentries that are more on the heavier side. And let's begin with the rocket sentry. I have no idea why, but the rocket sentry has almost exactly the same combination like the machine gun sentry, except for the up arrow at the end, which is switched for the left arrow. It's just that. Yeah, I don't know. Now it's time for another similarity, which is the autocannon sentry and the Tesla tower. Now you wouldn't really call Tesla tower a sentry, but it is, given that it begins with the down up, and it also apparently just has very similar combination like the autocannon sentry. How I imagine autocannon sentry to be is, well, focusing all of its power, therefore left and right, into one point, which is forwards. While the Tesla tower does the opposite. It focuses all of its power from the center outwards. And that's how I differentiate these stratagems and find fun about them. Next up are the mortar sentries and the emplacement stratagems. Now, as you can tell, the emplacement stratagems kinda can be counted as the sentry on its own because it starts with the down-up combination. Now, the mortar sentry and EMS mortar sentry are very interesting because they have exactly the same combination, except that they switch the 2 digits at the end together. So, making either the lethal mortar sentry or the non-lethal EMS sentry. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole logic behind it. Now, do you remember the recoilless rifle and how it has like this funny combination, which is the left, right, right, left? You know it's an anti-tank weapon, right? What does the anti-tank emplacement have? Okay, well, what does the HMG emplacement have? Why is the game not being consistent? These two should be switched together, period. Also, is it obvious already enough that I really like this planet type, especially for the Northern Lights? I would also like to talk about the generators on the launch ICPN missions. So all the generators at the terminals, they all begin with left, up, right, down. I've tested it out multiple times already, but it's always like this. The first combination is always like this. So you're essentially just making a circle, and the last two are always random. Same with the SAM side, which is always up, down, down, up in the middle, while the 2 arrows to the sides are always random. You have no idea how long I've been looking for this SAM site. And last but not least, I think we can finish this video off with some mines. Now the first one, which is the anti-personnel minefield, is just a circle, in my opinion. Well, you can see clearly. You just start with down, left, up, and then end up with right. So you're basically creating a circle. The anti-tank mines are exactly the same, but they have just up at the end, which just... I don't know, it has to do something with fire apparently, but no, it's anti-tank. You know how I mentioned not so long ago that up arrow usually has something to do with fire? Well, and incendiary mines don't have this luxury. But however, thankfully, the gas mines do have this luxury, which is the right arrow. Also, apparently these like stations count as kills, which was very weird to me, but oh well, the more you know. And that's the end of my video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you found some similarities between all the different stratagems in this video game. And thank you all for 100 subscribers. At the point of recording, again, we have about 103. Yeah, and I really didn't think we would get to that point this quickly. I thought I would have to use like another 3 or 4 months to to get to this point, but here we are, regardless. But anyway, thank you all very much again for 100 subscribers. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Have a great rest of your day.